All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about the 154-pound division and Terence "Bud" Crawford's reaction to Sebastian Fundura beating the brakes off of ERICKSON Lubin. Bud might just be saying, let me stay down there at 147 pounds. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Thank you for coming again to Fanon International Boxing Channel, boxing forum where we talk about all things boxing. If you are a subscriber to the channel and a member of the community, thank you guys so much for continuing to support. If you are new to the channel, I invite you to join the community by hitting the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos for discussion in the live streams and in the comment section. All right, so let's get into this. Sebastian Fundura put on a show, to say the least, last night. He fought one of the best 154-pounders that there are in the world in ERICKSON Lubin. And to put things, make things short and sweet, beat the brakes off of ERICKSON Lubin. Now, ERICKSON Lubin he did have his moments. He was up on the scoring, up on the cards before he got wound up having to throw the towel in. Kevin Cunningham, longtime trainer of some great fighters like Corey Spinks out of the great city of St. Louis. Trainer threw in the towel. He managed to knock Fundura down. However, Fundura just over the course of those rounds put such a hellacious beating on ERICKSON Lubin that there was just no choice but to stop the fight. Could not continue to let that fight go on for the fear of some very, very serious health consequences for ERICKSON Lubin. If you saw what the dude's face looked like, I've heard all kind of jokes about it. Like he looked like the kid from Mask. He looked like, not from The Mask. What was it? Yeah, he looked like the kid from The Mask. He looked like, all kind of jokes about it. But God, man, it was brutal. The man's eye was swollen up. His forehead had contusion on it. Looked like his jaw might have been broke because he was fighting with his mouth open, after taking uppercut after uppercut after uppercut after uppercut from Sebastian Fundura. Now, if that had just been a regular situation where Fundura beat him or Lubin was beat up and stopped by a fighter, that would be one thing. But the thing about ERICKSON Lubin, and the thing that was quoted by Terence Crawford, was like, this guy is like a cheat code. Specifically what he said was, look, Fundura's a cheat code. He's the type of character you make on fight night, and you boost his sliders up and his height and have him a really, really tall height at a smaller weight class, which, would give you a really, really unfair advantage in a smaller weight class. So basically saying this dude is a cheat code because he's 6'6", and he's the type of guy that fights very well on the inside. So ERICKSON Lubin had the huge difficulty overcoming the uniqueness of the dimensions of Sebastian Fundura, because that's just so highly unusual. Right now, there are taller guys fighting in weight classes, all the time, right? So say, for example, you have Nakatani, who is I do believe is like a 5'11" lightweight, right? And he's fighting a guy like Vasily Lomachenko. Vasily Lomachenko may be a 5'6" lightweight, right? So he's given up like 5 inches. I think it looked like ERICKSON Lubin was giving up a foot to Sebastian Fundura. Looked like a solid foot. And then when you have on top of it that reach, it was such a mismatch in size that it was the dimensions that made it such a hard time. Now, if, for example, ERICKSON Lubin was anywhere around the same height as Sebastian Fundura, he may have been able to fight on the outside, catching him in, keep him in bay with a jab, catch him with something coming in when he tries to come in and get inside of the jab. But when you have a guy with, I don't know how long this dude's reach is, 80-inch reach, 85-inch reach, something like that at 154 pounds, which are guys that are like typically 5'8", 5'9". I think for a tall middleweight, and I'm talking about a tall middleweight is 6 feet tall. right? So this guy is 6'6" taller than a tallest guy in the weight class above him. A tall 168 pounder maybe 6'2", right? Sergey Kovalev, who I think is fair to say is a tall, rangy 175 pounder, he's 6'2", right? To get guys that are 6'6", right? And honestly, man, looking at the dude, he looked like he's a little taller than 6'6". But to get him fighting at a weight class like that is just really, really, really awkward thing to deal with. Now, not saying that he's undefeatable, just saying that it's going to take somebody that has a very unique approach to him to beat him, to game plan for the fact that he does have a good jab, right? Which means that, that he has very, very long, right? So even if his jab is not that good and you're trying to keep him at bay with a jab, that's really not going to work because he can hit you. He can stand out of range of you and be able to reach you more easily with a straight right hand than you can hit him with your jab, right? Or switch it up because the guy's also a southpaw, right? Now, this particular situation with ERICKSON Lubin was a southpaw matchup. That's the same thing going on with Terence Crawford and him if he moved up to 154 pounds. Personally, when people ask me about, Fundura and ERICKSON Lubin, I said, man, look, I believe that ERICKSON Lubin is, you look at him and you look at his skill set and what he does in the ring, I would say that this guy is probably a better fighter than Fundura. But the reason I picked Fundura to win the fight was because I just didn't know how ERICKSON Lubin was ever going to get around the cheat code that Terence Crawford has out there. Now, as far as guys moving to 154 pounds and fighting him, whether it's Errol Spence Jr., whether it is Jaron Ennis, whether it's Terence Crawford, I don't care who it is fighting that guy, that is going to be a problem for those guys to solve. And I'm just not sure how they're going to do it because they will have to figure out a way to do something against somebody that they've never seen before. I have a suspicion that it is going to revolve around getting on the inside of his jab, obviously, but staying off, being able to keep your head off center, because the one shot that ERICKSON Lubin was getting absolutely beat badly with was that uppercut. Just uppercut after uppercut after uppercut, just couldn't get out the way of it, right? And the guy is so rangy and long that he can keep you inside of himself, right? Even to get to the side of that jab. So, the side of that uppercut. So, man, it's just wild, man. And maybe Terence Crawford would be smart not to move up to 154 pounds for that guy, man. And I'm telling you, I think it's going to be a difficult solution to solve for anybody. I think it'll be a difficult fight for Jamel. I think it'd be definitely a difficult fight for Brian Castano, just because that is just not something that is, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody at that weight class that's that tall. And on top of it, the guy's a skilled fighter and he is a brutal fighter, somebody that's coming there to beat you up, lean on you, lay on you, right? And he has and he's tall, leaning down on you, right? That type of stuff will wear and push on your back, similar to what those really tall guys do at 100 and at heavyweight, right? So it's just going to be a difficult solution to solve. I agree with Terence Crawford is definitely a cheat code, but I'll tell you what would solve that cheat code, and it's not going to happen. One thing that will probably solve that cheat code is a same-day weigh-in, where a guy that is that big, who is lean, right? And the saying, if you make the weight, you made the weight, right? It is what it is. Everybody plays under the same rules. Guys, they're shorter and taller guys in every fight. So it is what it is as far as advantages and reaches and all of that. However, I have a suspicion if they made same-day weigh-ins that Sebastian Fundura might be up at 168 pounds. That's my belief, because I think he's putting on, the taller you are and the leaner you are, the more weight you can put on after that weigh-in comes, because your body just more body to put more water weight onto. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Really great observation from Terence Crawford. And yeah, I doubt very much Terence Crawford is going to go out of his way to fight that guy, not because he's a better fighter than Terence Crawford is, but just because, hey, man, that is a giraffe in the ring. And how are you supposed to hit a giraffe? How are you supposed to hit a giraffe to the chin? Anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.